So this week, continuing on with the 6 antithesis in Matthew's Sermon on the Mount in chapter 5. Interesting that the songs today took precedence in some ways. We've got that same overriding theme of what it's most important, the motivation behind what we do and not the actual things. Jesus said earlier, didn't he, that unless you can be more tenacious in your execution than the teachers of the law and the Pharisees, more passionate, more diligent, more on the ball. But what he's talking about is not actually doing things, just ticking things off and doing things because you're told to, but doing things in the right motivation. And so the teaching for the disciples is to be people who are open and loving, liberal and non-judgmental, caring and kind, truthful and sincere, and willing and useful adverts for God. Light, as we mentioned at the beginning of that set of readings, salt and light. This is what we're all called to be. And so the songs we had today, Wesley's Give Me the Faith Which Can Remove, my every sacred moment spend in publishing the sinner's friend, that sense of always and everywhere reaching out to people, to spend and to be spent for them who have not yet my Saviour known. Every life, every breath, every action focused on sharing with others that glorious good news that we have entrusted in our hearts from God. How that happens in each individual life, of course, is as varied as people are, and is between them and God, and not something that anyone can mandate or dictate. But to be woken up, to be lit up, to be fired up, to know that peace, joy and kindness, and to share that with all without reserve. That's the real calling for each individual Christian. And it's so important because there's a world outside the walls of churches as they have their corporate worship, a world outside there full of people who are broken just as the people are inside churches, people who need to know they're loved and accepted, people who feel adrift on all the waves that life brings. And to come home to the God who made us is, I think, the most wonderful reassurance, is the most wonderful thing. It doesn't mean that everything gets better, it doesn't mean that life is charmed, it doesn't mean that you're special. I mean, everyone is as broken as everybody else, but we have that peace and assurance that the God who made all things loves us, and that transcends everything if we can let that truly into our hearts. And the good news is, of course, that is available for all people, everywhere, and at any time.